Hai, Assalamualaikum, and welcome back everyone to your favorite podcast, Manzu's FM, with your host, yours truly, Manzu. So, in this weekly episode, we are going to talk about a quite controversial discussion, the case of Peter Daszak. So, who is Peter Daszak? Peter Daszak is a British zoologist and disease oncologist that has been accused of being incompetent, being irresponsible in his research, which has led to the early spread of COVID-19. It is said that he was involved in a gain of function research that might have been the cause of the COVID-19 pandemic. I invited some guests on video calls to help understand more on the case of Peter Daszak. So now, what are we waiting for? Let's spill the tea.
Okay, thank you to our host. Now, I'll start to briefly explain regarding this case. This case all started when EcoHealth Alliance received a grant from National Institute of Health, which is NIH, to conduct a research under title Understanding the Risk of Bat Coronavirus Emergence. Part of this work involved collecting coronavirus samples from bats, and the sample were later studied at the Wuhan Institute of Virology, WIV. The peak of this case is when US congressional investigators, particularly the Select Subcommittee on the Coronavirus Pandemic, allegedly claimed that EcoHealth Alliance, under the leadership of Peter Daszak at that time, was doing a dangerous experiment. They were said to have made the viruses become more transmissible and dangerous, which already violates the grant's term. And they were also being accused of not being fully transparent regarding the reports. This issue was valid because on 1st of May 2024, the Select Committee on the Coronavirus Pandemic stated that an earlier draft of EcoHealth Alliance Year 5 Progress report was sent to them. This draft contained the last update of 26th of May 2020, which is 7 months after the report was due and 16 months before EcoHealth officially submitted their final Year 5 report to the NIH, which was in August 2021.
We're so glad that Manzu invited us to share more about the article and also research misconduct about this case. So shall we?
Okay. You know what struck me when comparing China's handling of SARS and COVID-19 with the EcoHealth Alliance investigation? It's how similar the underlying misconduct is, even though the actors are completely different.
Exactly. Different system, different incentive, but the same core problem is withholding critical information when the world needed transparency the most.
Take China during the SARS and again during the early days of COVID-19. There was suppression of early warnings, doctors were silent, and also the data was delayed. In some cases, outbreaks were reported for weeks.
And that delay wasn't just administrative, it changed the course of both epidemics. Plus, the WHO teams were basically shown a curated, controlled versions of the truth. That's research misconduct at national scale.
Then you look at EcoHealth Alliance. They're not a government, but the pattern is oddly familiar. They submitted a required progress report more than 2 years late
and failed to disclose a potentially dangerous experiment conducted at the Wuhan Institute of Virology. That's a major breach of NIH grant terms.
Let's not forget the conflict of interest issue. Dr. Daszak helped organize the 2020 Lancet, later dismissing the lab origin idea, while not disclosing that his own group worked with the lab in question.
Right, that wasn't fabricated data, but it was scientific narrative shaping, and that's a form of ethical misconduct.
So on one side you have political secrecy, and on the other is scientific opacity. But the impact is nearly identical.
Exactly, the world loses access to crucial data, risk assessment get distorted, and public trust collapse. In both cases, the lack of transparency made an already dangerous situation worse.
If there's one takeaway, it's this: whenever you hide information, whether to avoid political embarrassment or to protect research funding, global health pays the price.
Pandemic safety depends on radical transparency. Without it, preventions become impossible.
You know, from this, it shows how severe damages can dishonesty do. Like, it shows no party would want to stand up. No party would have the integrity, the bravery to stand for what's right, even after accidents just happen. And for me, it's just sad to see this type of opacity literally anywhere, especially in research field where people's lives are at stake. And we have to get rid of this behavior, you know, and be bold enough to actually do the right thing at the right time. Hey, I wonder what happened to that Dr. Peter guy.
Following this case, Dr. Peter Daszak faced a huge hit to his professional career. Firstly, he was debarred by the US Department of Health and Human Services. This which means he is ineligible for federal grants and programs for 5 years. These decisions followed concerns about research oversight and safety reporting related to his work at Eco Health Alliance. This debarment follows a major investigation by the House Select Subcommittee on the coronavirus pandemic, which found that Eco Health and Daszak willingly violated terms of their NIH grant, especially regarding gain of function research.
Next, I'll explain the broader repercussion faced by Dr. Peter Daszak after the investigation. As shown here, this is the official debarment letter issued by the US Department of Health and Human Services. This document formalized the federal decision to cut off all government funding to both Eco Health Alliance and Dr. Daszak for a period of 5 years. Next, I'll explain the broader section. The consequences expand quickly. The Eco Health Alliance terminated Daszak from his position as president, ending his long-standing leadership role in the organization he helped to build. This removal reflects how deeply credibility of his work had been affected. The debarment also triggered ongoing legal and political pressure. The Congressional Subcommittee recommended further review into his past reporting practice, which may expose him to additional regulatory or legal scrutiny in the future. Beyond that, the scientific community's trust in Daszak has been significantly shaken. His involvement in high-risk coronavirus research, combined with the grant violations, sparked major debates over transparency, biosafety, and ethical oversight in pandemic-related research. The repercussions didn't stop at him. Eco Health Alliance as an organization suffered too. With federal funding suspended, the operations and research projects have been severely disrupted and raised questions about the long-term viability of the organization. Following this action, the consequences expand quickly.
I guess that's it. Big thanks to our guests for providing such insights for our understandings of this case. Before we end our podcast, there are some lessons that we can learn from today's topic. Firstly, transparency shows honesty. This story shows that any research or any high-risk works must be fully transparent to ensure the safety and responsibility. Lack of transparency can dramatically lead to worsen of other problems and also global pandemics. Second, the international biosafety norms must be strengthened and also be enforced. The World Health Organization needs more independent authority to assess outbreak data and also to assess other risks itself. Finally, to conclude our podcast topic today, there is a credible documented evidence that Peter Daszak and his team, Eco Health Alliance, had mismanaged taxpayer funds, failed to report, and also violated grant terms, hence their demise of being penalized. Whether this becomes a criminal matter remains uncertain. But the case has already led to major reputational and also financial consequences, which also highlights deeper problems in how dangerous virology research can be. That's all for me. Thank you for tuning in into our podcast and see you in the next episode. Bye.